more children killed in Gaza in 6 months than the number of children killed in all the other war zones in the world over 3 years multiplied by 4. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what Gaza is? Gaza is, sometimes people need, I think, to visualize it. Gaza is 25 miles long. It's less than the length of a marathon. It's 5 miles wide. You know what 5 miles wide is? What that number resonates for me? I jog every morning at the seashore, Coney Island seashore, 5 miles. It's the length of my jog by the distance of a marathon. Half the population, half is children. Half. And 80% are refugees or descendants of refugees. Do you know what that means? In 1948, you lost your homeland. You were expelled from the area that became Israel. And now, according to the last report of the World Bank, 300,000 homes have been damaged or destroyed. 72% were just destroyed, okay? 1.3 million people have nowhere to return. They lost their homelands, and now they lost their homes. You know what it means to lose a home? And I don't want to become emotive, but on the other hand, you have to give life to the facts. They not only lost their home, they not only lost their block, they not only lost their neighborhood, they lost their city. What does that mean? It means the place has been pulverized. They don't know where to return to. Imagine the block you live on has been ground into dust. That's what happened. That's what happens when you drop these bombs at the density and intensity that Israel has been dropping them. That was a calculated policy. The Israeli officials kept saying, we're going to make Gaza unlivable, uninhabitable. That was a calculated policy. As one of Israel's senior advisors, Giora Eiland, the former head of Israel's National Security Council, he said, we are going to give them 2 choices: to stay and starve or to leave, to make Gaza uninhabitable, to reduce it to rubble and dust. That's Gaza. So, looking at the picture, not trying to attach a broader legal label to it, whether to call it genocide or ethnic cleansing. We'll leave the labels aside for a moment, because you asked me, what does Gaza look like? I would say there's very little left in Gaza right now. There really is. There's very little left. The only area which they haven't yet reduced to rubble is Rafah, and that's their goal. They want to turn all of Gaza. Usually somebody would use here a metaphor like a parking lot. A parking lot doesn't sound right to me because a parking lot's too peaceful. The image it conjures is too peaceful. I prefer, during the U.S. war in the Philippines at the turn of the 20th century, 1899, around there, there was an order given by one of the senior generals. He said there was one province, Luzon province, Luzon, and they said, we're going to turn Luzon province into a howling wilderness. And when I was reading descriptions of Gaza, that's what came to mind, to turn it into a howling wilderness. And that's what's been done.
Norman?
My question is, how should Israel have reacted in that situation in the real world? In the real world.
Right. And I think I have responded to you, but you can, of course, quarrel with me on that. And
I am quarreling with you.
As I said to, your name is?
Francis.
Francis, you can press me and press me and press me.
I'm trying.
Yes, and I will accept that. My answer is what I've said before. What in the real world should the Palestinians have done if they tried negotiations, they gestured to supporting either a two-state settlement, here I'm referring to Hamas, or what they called a hudna, a long-term ceasefire, when in beginning March 30th, 2018, they tried, not least because of my encouragement, they tried nonviolent civil resistance. And what was the Israeli response? We know exactly. There's a 250-page, single-spaced UN report describing the response. Israel took its best snipers, lined them up along the perimeter fence, and while there was this festive, to use the word of the UN report, atmosphere among the Palestinians, there was music, there was dancing, there was song. The snipers, I'm quoting the report, intentionally targeted children, intentionally targeted medics, intentionally targeted journalists, intentionally targeted disabled people. They described double amputees 300 meters from the perimeter fence that Israel shot. When they didn't kill them, they targeted them from the kneecap down to inflict, to use the technical term, life-changing injuries, which for the layperson translates as paralyze them. One Israeli sniper boasted to Haaretz newspaper, Israel's most serious newspaper, he shot 42 kneecaps in one day. 42 children and adults paralyzed for life. And so when all the options of diplomacy, nonviolent civil resistance, when they've been exhausted, what were they supposed to do?